Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. I am Jodie Nelson. I am curating a show called Beyond an Inconvenient Truth for the platform called Earth Creative. And today we are having a curator conversation with Vera. She is an artist that lives and works in Seattle, Washington right now, but has roots all over the world. I'm so excited to share with you a little bit more about her work, a little bit more about her Seeds project, and her passion for climate justice. So, Vera, I was reading your biography, and at the end, it says that you are often found giving the gifts of seeds. And in that moment, I felt as though I knew you. I felt so much presence in that one sentence about you and the gift of seeds. Can you tell us a little bit more about you and about why you felt compelled to do the seed project that you have going on?
Hi, Jody. Thank you for that question. I've been doing gardening for quite a bit of my life. I learned from my grandmother. And as you said, I've traveled and lived in many different places. And what has helped me belong and take root in a place is mostly gardening. I help in many different gardens throughout the city, and I help elderly people with their gardens. And actually, that has been one thing ongoing of giving away wildflower seeds.
Oh,
I met an elderly lady actually that gifted me wildflower seeds and asked me, "What are you going to do with this? What are the seeds of the future?" And I love, I love how they symbolize to me latent change, and
oh,
they need to be protected. So some of the plantings that I've been doing at Daybreak, at Sewer Park, and at Discovery Park and throughout the city are in places where people might not have access to native plant seeds or maybe need ecological restoration. So that got me excited to use drawing and a mixed media attempt to make portraits of the seeds, and then also to feature them and show the beauty of their blooms, thinking about casting a little bit of glimmer of hope on the challenges, really serious challenges of climate change.
yeah, hope is so important because as I read and do my research and have seen, the statistics really come to fruition um, about climate change, I tend to fall into the depression a little bit. So hearing you say before, I've heard you say how you take and you teach about actionable steps about that. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your drawing process and how that's an actionable step and how you teach that even with your gardening too, because I'd love to learn a little bit more about how I can not go down the depression hole with that.
Yes, I understand. It's hard. It's a big topic that connects us all. Um, I've had to work on this for a while to work on all those different steps. For me, drawing is a place of solace, a place of
Mhm.
quiet where I get to digest and slow down to pay attention to small, beautiful things. And throughout my life, small, beautiful things have given me great hope in many different situations. And also, it's almost like it stops you on the tracks. And then you just feel like you connect and you belong with that tiny little flower. Like I've been camping and hiking and especially in very dark or extreme weather, I will pull out my camera and start photographing tiny wildflower seeds. Um, and then that inspired me to gaze, zoom in and pay attention to the small things. And I brought that personal artistic practice to what I do with teachers.
Mm.
I do professional development, and then I also help teachers with gardens. I do community outreach with gardens, and that's something that I started doing in my home cities, and then that has helped me belong in different places. And sometimes you have unexpected things happen, and that has always been a reliable thing to do that helps me find root and
Mm.
find hope is planting and collaborating with gardening, like seeing children plant seeds, seeing teachers learn about veggie gardens and wildflowers. I'm collaborating with a teacher that is going to write haiku poems on seeds, and it just builds up. And I feel like my grandmother's heart is present with me, and people that I love are present with me because each person taught me how to garden better and how to make artwork that echoes things that I see.
My cousin is a farmer, and what he always teaches me is you've got to nourish the soil first. So I know that you have talked a little bit about the different seeds that you're planting, and it's for different phases. Isn't that right? Like to help nourish the soil. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, I mean, there's depends on the place. I mean, every plant for every right place. The
Yeah.
seeds. Are you asking me about the seeds that I drew or the seeds that I plant in the soil?
Well, you wear so many hats. So yeah, during the day, I know you're planting different seeds to help the different phases of the soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are just like three of those?
Well, so it always starts with what the community needs, and
Oh,
and
yes.
there's two things. There's the community needs, and that includes cultural needs of heritage. People might bring things they desire to cook with, and I'm really close to migrant communities. I work close to Beacon Hill with people that want to bring those flavors, but also I'm a very passionate about native seeds because of ecological restoration. We have different bioregions, and we belong to a specific one. I mean, for the time that I'm here, I belong to this bioregion, and I want to honor. I've been learning from tribal elders and really learning how to honor the soil and preserve and protect the plants. I don't think we can be rigid with it because the bioregion might shift as climate changes, like is also shifting,
Yeah.
is bringing different patterns in temperature. And but I think it's important to be sensitive to what has been here and
Mm.
what emerges and how we can help the soil welcome those seeds. And everywhere I go, like the schools that I work with, I'm like, would you consider the seeds? And some of the ones that so there's the veggie garden, but then there's the wildflower pollinator seeds for mason bees and all sorts of pollinators. And that basically is connecting to other than human needs. So realizing most of the food we eat is because of pollinators, but also we should honor other species, not just our own. We already impact other species enough. So some of the seeds that I've been hoping to plant or that I have found in those places, like the Western Trillium, I don't plant it, but I cherish it. It's such a precious little seed that I found in the forest on Vashon Island with an elder when I was walking around. And then the black seeds of Pacific Bleeding Heart. I just think that's such a beautiful name.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it was in the backyard of the elderly lady that I helped her garden, grow. And that's one of the reasons I featured it. And I used this glimmer paint that I showed you earlier is that it's important to me. And the camas bulbs are some that I help an organization that does grassroots planting at Discovery Park at daybreak. And I was really moved by their use of the seeds and the bulbs because they were bio-wetland and they were symbolizing the restoration of the soil, but also of connections with tribal elders and their families. And that was, so each one of the seeds, either I have planted or I have helped someone else plant it, or is telling a story about this place through the people that I have met.
You are an ultimate creative soul. I mean, you're constantly creating seeds and nourishing something and then having it grow, which is such a creative process. And then you're even continuing that process with your hand-eye coordination and your imagination to help spread the word. It is just beautiful. I can't thank you enough for doing what you do. And as you were talking about your specific drawings, for those of us who are going to be able to join us for the show, these titles that she's talking about are going to be featured at Beyond an Inconvenient Truth, opening up on April 22nd, running through May 13th. And there are a few more titles because we're going to install 6 of these works from her Seeds project. And as you can see, these titles are really important to how she came about the project and for each individual ones. Can you continue telling us how and why you feel that these titles are so important?
Well, they are important. I mean, it started with I did some research. So I was gardening and drawing, and then I realized with all the professional development I'm doing with teachers that grief is a big part of things, discomfort is a big part of things, but gardening can make things accessible.
Oh.
So then while I was talking about native plant restoration and trying to get resources for teachers to use, I started looking at what do seeds that live here look like. And I do a lot of hiking, so I knew some of the seeds, but it was beautiful to find some. And there was a connection between the honoring of protecting and planting the seeds and perpetuating their role in the ecosystem. But also I felt a kinship because each one of them is connected to my own story. Ooh. Now that might not be in the title, but I know why they're there. And like the Western Canada goldenrod, I really love Val Kimmerer's book, Braiding with Sweet Grass.
Oh yes.
And that one, just her worldview and what she shares and the beauty of the randomness, but also the order in things, really inspired me and has inspired a lot of the teachers that I work with. So I don't mean to misappropriate it, but she inspired me to feature and create this drawing that shows the seeds and the blooms of this plant. Because she talks about aster and goldenrod being together and how an academic tells her, well, that's not real science, but she's using her, indigenous perspectives and her wisdom that comes from a much deeper place, and also saying the rhyme and the beauty of how nature is aligned has a place in science. So I always feel like science and art go hand in hand. And in my own environmental education research, I've tried to do that. Like you can do data, like why is this plant good here, but also it's beautiful. It has a story, it has a presence, it has a relationship with us and our grandmothers, or in this case, not my own grandmother because she was not raised here, but she's also an elder that I learned from, a person that inspires me in her writing.
The wisdom is the forgotten truth. We have statistical data, but we oftentimes we undervalue the wisdom that comes from within and what comes from the land. Always, 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 always. So thanks for continuing to spread the word, and it helped me, your title specifically. It was like the portal into your work, and it made me even more curious to dive deeper and to really see what you had going on in that creative mind of yours. So I'm loving the titles, loving them. Now, are you going to be able to join us on April 22nd for the opening?
Yes, I'm hoping to be there. I want to say the titles, I don't know, I did include a little bit of Latin in there. I'm not so much for that, scientific formality.
Yeah.
But I think I like titles that can be questioned and images that can be questioned and portals to connect with other things. So I hope they do that to the people that see them.
Well, they did it for me, and I was just looking at it on a computer screen. So I'm overjoyed to be able to experience your work in person, because I can just already tell that the work is going to come alive even more than what I've already seen. So appreciate all your time, and most importantly, your energy for helping create the show the show and the experience that we're going to be able to provide. Can't thank you enough. And if there's anything else you want to say goodbye, do you want to tell everybody your Instagram and how to follow you, or a website or anything?
I have a website. It's my name, VeraShope.com.
Okay, perfect.
And I do have an Instagram, but I don't always see that format showing my work because it has textures. So it doesn't always show all the layers, but
all the layers and the different highlight, like the mica in it. You use a little bit of metallic in your work.
I used iridescent paint and ink
Iridescent.
and yeah, pencils and paint. And I actually it was fun to put them together and blend them and work on transitions. It was really, I don't know, again, like a portrait of a seed. It felt like making something small just seemed like a bloom, like a potential latent bloom for hope.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to this being a seed to our friendship. I'm looking forward to seeing and working on another project with you and just seeing what happens with your career. I'm so excited for you.
Hey, Jodie, that means a lot. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. So thank you everybody for coming to our curator conversation, and we'll see you at the opening.
See ya.